VLR.
Welcome to the Saturday Night Cigar Lounge.
The weather in Texas is probably one of the crazier one that it's been since, well, I think it was in the 20s yesterday, and now it's in the 60s today. But that doesn't mean we're going to stop Saturday Night Cigar Lounge for just a little crazy Texas weather. It's one of the reasons why we like living here. I'm Taylor. I'm your host. This is Vigilant Liberty Radio, and I will get to my guests, who I'm very happy to have in just 1 second, but because of how everything goes with, well, tonight's topic, which is Texas politics, I need to play the Pint-Sized Pundit really quickly.
This is the Pint-Sized Pundit, and I am here to tell you that anything Taylor says on Saturday Night Cigar Lounge is his opinion and his opinion only. He does not speak for his employer, his employer's employer, or anyone else. He especially doesn't speak for Liz unless she says so.
Now that we're covered, I'm very happy to have my guests tonight. First off, he's a man who's, well, not only from Texas, he's of Texas, and his politics are as independent as the state as well. Scott Braddock. Scott, thanks for being here.
Taylor, thanks for having me.
Any particular cigars on your agenda tonight?
You know, I had an AKA earlier today, which I was really impressed by. It seemed like it was all marketing, and I don't know if you've had this, but it was the AKA Solace, which is pretty good. I've been smoking more of the CEO Brazilias, which I know you enjoy, from time to time.
You mean like this morning?
Time to time being, well, every single day. Also the Don Pepin Garcia, my father, line has been top of the line for me lately. So, any one of those might be lit up, sparked up as we go through the evening here.
All right. And, Scott, make sure you don't lean back too far or else we'll really lose you.
All right.
And also here is a man who likes trolling believers, who likes trolling me, likes trolling kids on Grand Theft Auto Online.
Mm-hmm.
He's in a compound somewhere. It's a good thing he's not in Waco, or else I'd probably try to make a burnt-out compound joke. But I'm not going to. I'm going to be nice. And he supposedly hosts a show that is on break right now, right? Sean Vinkman?
Yeah, we're calling it hiatus because we're elitist, but
okay.
It's basically a break, yeah.
And he's an elitist, too.
Right. Right.
But see, he admits to being an elitist.
Sure.
So I guess that helps.
Only makes it half bad.
Yeah. Now, we are talking the blood sport that is Texas politics. And, Scott, I have to thank you for that, for that moniker now. And one of the reasons why we're discussing this tonight is, well, Wendy Davis has been in the news all this week, and maybe not necessarily for the reason she wants to be. Earlier, last Sunday, Wayne Slater from the Dallas Morning News published a article where it basically says, hey, the key facts that she talked about are blurred. One of the things that she testified under oath to a 3-judge panel in over, I believe it was redistricting, a federal 3-judge panel. She said that she was 19 when she divorced. Well, One of the problems that you run into is that, no, she wasn't 19, she was 21.
Actually, she said she was single when she was 19.
Right, but
those are different.
Right. Well, no, we're gonna get to this.
Sure.
I'll toss it to you in just a second. Then she also says, quoting from the article, in an exclusive interview last week, Davis acknowledged some chronological errors and incomplete details in what she and her aides have said about her life. My language should be tighter. I'm learning about using broader, looser language. I need to be more focused on the details. And then there's also this quote from an unnamed Davis supporter, believe it or not, who said this: Wendy is tremendously ambitious. She's not going to let family or raising children or anything else get in her way. She's going to find a way, and she's going to figure out a way to spin herself in a way that grabs at the heartstrings. A lot of it isn't true about her, but that's just us who knew her. And then the money quote, but she'd be a good governor. And again, the sport of Texas politics. If the person who Greg Abbott sued when his tree fell and broke his back and put him in a wheelchair says he's going to vote for him, and this supporter says a lot of it isn't true, but that's just us who know her, but she'd be a good governor. It's always fun, isn't it, Scott?
Well, the fun never stops. I mean, on the one hand, you have Greg Abbott, who, did get into a horrible freak accident, 3 decades ago that put him in a wheelchair, and, very unfortunately so, sued the homeowner. I mean, he had a tree fall on him while he was jogging in River Oaks in Houston. And he sued that homeowner. Of course, later, he supported policies that would keep you from being able to file the same kind of suit if the same thing happened to you. So that is a hypocrisy that a lot of people have pointed out. And by the way, to point that out is tricky politics, right? Because now suddenly everybody is very sensitive about the fact that this is a man who is in a wheelchair. And, nobody should denigrate a man who is paralyzed. Nobody should insult people who have disabilities, and I know we're going to get to that in more depth coming up later because there's been some controversy about that. And then on the other hand, you have Wendy Davis, who apparently had a rough start early in her life. She's an ambitious person. She's had some success, and as that person told Wayne Slater, she wasn't going to let anything stand in her way as far as reaching the success that she's had. For context, it's interesting to note that both Governor Ann Richards and Governor George Bush were both recovering alcoholics and still were able to make it into the governor's mansion. So the fact that somebody has a past doesn't keep them from having a future in Texas.
I happen to agree 100%. And Sean, feel free to pop in here.
Yeah. I guess let me start by saying hi. I'm Sean. Taylor just introduced me as the guy who trolls a bunch of people that never actually got to my name, which is Sean. That's.
Sean,
I did say Sean Venkman.
I don't think you did. Maybe you did. But
he did.
Oh, okay.
He did. It was excellent. Right. Hey, listen, I'm a radio veteran. He did an excellent job.
Okay, never mind. All right, let's start.
Try, Sean.
No, I legit didn't hear it. Let's start with the fact, because I've got a lot here. Let's just start with the fact that we all know that A.G. Abbott is in a wheelchair. I don't know how many times I've seen trutherism come up in here and there, but something is rearing its ugly head that's worse than just about everything we just talked about. And that's the fact that some Wendy Davis supporters are wheelchair truthers. They think that it's a scam. That like he gets home and goes in his house and he just starts dancing around and thinks it's funny as hell that he gets extra sympathy or something like that. They legit think he's not paralyzed, that he's faking it. And
why is that important?
Well, that's the highest form of tolerance that I'm always lectured about from liberal Democrats.
I'm sure that doesn't represent a majority of Democrats or even a majority of liberals. I think, like you said, there are truthers who are pretty nuts. I think there are also some truthers who think that 9/11 was an inside job, and I think they're on the fringe. I think there are people who think that President Obama was not born in the United States, but I don't think that those people who have made a big deal about the president's birth certificate represent a majority of conservatives or Republicans. So I wonder what you think about people who are actually mainstream supporters of Wendy Davis and not people who are just nutcases.
Well, I'm wondering why mainstream Wendy Davis supporters aren't calling this out, because we all know if the Tea Party was accusing someone of being a fake paraplegic on the Democrat side, there would have to be a statement that got made. There would have to be a press release or an email blast or something like, "Hey, we heard about this. We disavow this." But,
right. Can you name a prominent Republican who disavowed conservatives who doubted the president was born in the United States?
I mean, I don't have the list in front of me, but
could you name one? That'd be cool.
Mitt Romney.
I don't remember him doing that. Did that happen?
I think he did, but that's.
I'm gonna look it up here.
I think he did, but we're getting aside from the we're getting kind of aside on the topic. In the discussion on whether or not on what the situation here is. One of the questions that I think is kind of relevant is whether or not this hurts her campaign, and specifically the reaction that she had to this by coming out and blaming the Abbott campaign for this. Scott, I'll go to you first.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think that the reaction to this from the Davis campaign has been very poor. I mean, I think that what she simply needs to do is say, look, everyone has things in their life that maybe they're not proud of. Not everybody, of course, is asking to be governor of Texas. So it's legitimate to look at somebody's past and ask questions about their past. There's no, I don't think there's any problem with people doing that. And I think Wayne Slater, who is a friend of mine and is no Republican hack for sure. No, is no conservative, is no Republican hack for sure. I think if you looked at my Twitter feed, I said something earlier in the week about how if Wayne Slater is a tool for the Republican Party, then I have heard it all. That's just not true. Look, I think it's legitimate to look at a person's past if they're asking to be elected to high office, no question. I think she needs to learn how to talk about it. And I think that, and by the way, I was talking to the chairman of the Dallas County Republican Party on his radio show last week. And I asked him, this is somebody who's a prominent Republican figure there in North Texas. I said, is there any part of this story that was laid out in the Dallas Morning News that is a sort of big aha moment to you, some kind of a moment that says this person is disqualified from being the governor of Texas? And he said, well, no. I think that she needs to answer questions. It's fair game. But there's nothing here that should keep her from being governor. If she's not governor, it won't be because of this.
Sean?
I don't know. I've talked to you privately about this, Taylor. I think she's done. I think that she had a little bit of wind in her sails, and this just took it right out of it. And that maybe if this was a state in the Northeast, she might still have a chance. But in this being Texas, I'm going to go out on what Taylor describes as a limb and say she's done. It's over. Don't stop the push. I'm not saying stop the push. I'm just saying I think when people look back after this election, they will say, that was when the wind got taken out of her sails, because she doubled down on a lie. She took a classic. The lie was that these are attacks from the Abbott campaign that were organized through Wayne Slater, and we shouldn't let this get in the way of me because I'm an ambitious mother and all this other crap. They doubled down on the lie, and I think that Scott has a point that if she had come out and given a reasonable statement. Blah, blah, blah. She gave a neurotic reaction. It was a completely neurotic reaction where she doubled down on the lie out of panic, and I don't think it worked.
I think there's a couple things to keep in mind. Number one, I think that Wayne may have, and this is sort of counterintuitive, But I think Wayne Slater may have done the Davis campaign a real favor by getting this out on the table early, getting these sort of nasty personal attacks, out in the public sphere early in the campaign, where only political junkies like ourselves are really even paying attention. The kinds of independent-minded folks and even some Republicans that Wendy Davis is going to be trying to appeal to come the fall are really not paying that much attention to this right now. Now, she's had some celebrity, for sure, since the filibuster